we're going to talk about time management. And I am recently interested in looking at time. I had this realization that although it might sound very obvious, I just realized that if you have a 9 to 5 job that you don't like and you feel like you are spending all your time doing something else and then trying to make time for the things that you like to do and the people that you want to spend time with and spend time on things that matters to you, I figured out that I have to create an escape plan so I can gain financial independence and eventually get out of the current career path that I'm in and the current job that I have and move towards something that I enjoy doing. I had this realization that with the day being 24 hours and hopefully if you get a good night's sleep, you've already spent 8, so that's just a third of your day gone. And if you think about it in terms of weeks and months and years, those are just a week is 7 days and a month 30 days. So essentially a third of your life you are sleeping. And if you're working a 9 to 5 job or whatever occupation you have, and we're talking about the majority of people that are working that kind of like a corporate 9 to 5 job, you're spending 8 to 9 hours, depending on the commute or whatnot, maybe 8 to 10 hours, hopefully 8 hours, just for the sake of simplicity of doing math. So 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, you are left with a third of a day, which is 8 hours. You had 16 hours gone with sleep and your job. I'm looking at my notes here. So you have 8 hours left. And realistically, that's not 8 hours. So you have to eat, you have to cook, clean, whatever errands you have to run, do laundry, lots of stuff that you need to take care of. You have your daily habits and you need some time to relax and enjoy your time that you spend with your family, friends, entertainment, things like that. And with mundane everyday things, cooking, eating, cleaning, etc., you don't have a third of a day to yourself to do the things that you want to do. And here's the realization that I had that I wanted to talk about. So I thought about it in a sense of hours. So if we look at a week being 168 hours, so you've already slept 56 hours. This is just an average. I know people have different sleeping habits. It could be 6 to 8 hours or whatever, more, less, depending on what kind of person you are and what type of lifestyle. That's not the topic of this video. I am just going to use this as an example. 168 hours to begin with, any given week. You have 56 hours, which is your sleep, and that's almost a little over 30% or 33%. You have work, and that's 5 days a week, 40 to 45 hours, depending on going to and coming back from work, which is your commute. And I used myself as an example. This is going to be 27% or 45 hours. So we already have 33 and 27, that's 60%. Now we are left with 40%, or I don't know, 67 hours or something like that. Don't quote me on my math, but I just did a rough calculation to figure out what I need to do. If I want to be efficient, I have to think of it as a whole instead of chunks and bits here and there. So 1 hour here, a couple hours there, and try not to waste any time by doing the things that I like to call distraction. It might be different for every individual, But I have been very self-conscious recently, and I've noticed that although it appears I do not have much time, I waste a lot of it. And looking at the stats that I created, the hours that I've essentially divided the week into, that 40% that I am left with is not a lot. If you think 8 hours a day, and then on Saturday and Sunday weekend I don't work, so instead of 8 I have 16 hours. The 8 hours from the job and the 8 hours that I already had, I think of it as having 2 extra days to do the things that I want to do. But I am trying to get rid of whatever that isn't helping me reaching my goal. Apart from going to the gym and spending time with family, I'd like to save time whenever possible. And that means having routines and being very rigid with my time. So creating videos and editing videos, or trying to work on whatever goals I have to achieve financial independence from my current job and change career paths. So with that being said, I think in order to be efficient, you have to be consistent doing things like, I don't know, working out for 30 or 45 minutes or an hour, whatever it is that you do. I personally work out 1 hour a day, most days. So I'm trying to shorten the commute, and I recently moved into a new place which is much closer to my local gym that I mentioned. So by doing that, I am reducing the amount of time I spend commuting or traveling. That's one thing I realized is very time consuming, especially during rush hour traffic, which is not ideal. That's one of the biggest time wasters for me. That and scrolling on social media, which wasn't a big thing for me, and I don't want to get too much into it, but I got injured doing jiu-jitsu a few months ago, and because I couldn't train and I had to do physiotherapy and a lot of rehab exercises in order to get back to training, that injury kind of put me out of training for a few months, and I wasn't in the best place. So I spent a lot of time, and I got addicted to my phone, which is weird because I felt like we are all addicted to our phones, but I felt that I was spending a lot of time, and I am very self-conscious of that, and I'm trying to be very careful with how I spend my time on my phone or other smart devices and social media. With that said, that's my second time waster. So first being commute, which I am taking care of by changing the location of the gym that I go to. And the other thing being social media. By being self-aware, every time I feel like I'm falling into the social media trap, I remind myself that there are other things that I can do with my time. Having one of the things that I really love to do, and I recently picked up. So I started learning how to play the guitar and taking lessons and practicing 20-30 minutes a day. I feel like that's one of the things that I could be doing instead of scrolling on social media, which is a mindless thing, and before you realize it, you've spent, I don't know, a couple hours, 1 hour, whatever. Things like that, reading 10 to 20 pages, adding stretch and mobility into my routine. Things like that, trying to do the things that I should do and I really want to do, and replace those bad habits with the positive things that I wanted to do and be efficient with my time. 60 hours a week or 40% of your week, it's a lot. Okay, you come home, it's already 5 or 6 o'clock. Maybe you go to the gym, which I do, or maybe you do some sort of class or martial arts that are time bound. I then go spend an hour in the gym and have a few minutes of commute each way, which is okay. And then I come home and I have, I don't know, 3 hours before I go to bed and get ready for work again the next day. So a couple hours before going to work, 2-3 hours after work, after the gym, If you think about those, not in terms of these little chunks that you have, you might as well just watch something or scroll on social media or try to just kill those times. So my realization was that I have to look at it as a whole. Looking at the bigger picture, that's 40% of my week, including the weekends. I can use that time to get out of my current situation. Otherwise, I'll be mindlessly going through the motions and just pass that time and end up being where I was exactly a year ago or 2 years ago, which is my current circumstance. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I realized that I have to use my time wisely and work on my plan. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Instead of looking at time as something that I lack, I like to think of it as a resource that I can invest doing the things that I want to do and I feel like I should do. Again, back to being consistent. I had a lot of success with my exercise and nutrition with having consistent and small steps. And I feel like I got big results because of that. I'll give you an example. If I don't have the time to work out and I only have 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I don't feel discouraged or say, let's leave it, I'll go tomorrow. I will stick to that 15 minutes and I would do what I can instead of focusing on what I can't do. So in that regard, I had a lot of success being consistent with my workouts. So whenever I go on holidays, if I'm traveling or if I am not at my hometown or what have you, I still try to be consistent with my workouts. And I had a lot of success at the beginning of my guitar learning journey, being consistent, practicing 10 to 15 minutes in the morning and then 20-30 minutes at night. Every day for a long while, and I had a lot of success with that, and I was really enjoying that new hobby that I had picked up. Although with my recent move-in from previous place to this place, I have been very inconsistent for the past couple of months, and that's been really bugging me. So again, back to being consistent, I realized that I have to get back into my routine. Whatever you can get is better than not doing anything. Small steps. Usually, if you say you're going to do something for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, it's a lower barrier to entry and you don't feel intimidated, or you don't feel like, oh, I'm going to spend 1 hour doing something, or I don't have 1 hour, or it's too much, or things like that. You can just, if you say you're going to do something for a short amount of time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, more often than not, you end up doing more than you thought you were going to do. So building habits. If you go to the gym and say, I will just go do one exercise, or I will just go for 10 minutes. If you make the trip, if you go to the gym, if you have the courage or build up the habit of going to the gym every day, once you show up, I'm sure you're going to do more than 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. Or even if you do 10 minutes, it's still okay. You've done something. And sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. The other thing I wanted to talk about was setting daily goals. I feel like is the most important thing for me right now. So personally, I had success with that, and I think if you've never done it, you should try it. Making small and achievable goals, like that 10 minutes or 15 minutes practice, or 10 minutes mobility and stretch daily, it will add up. And it's got a cumulative effect, and you will see the result of it in the long run. And using visual tools and trackers has helped me a lot, and being consistent so I don't have to think about the things that I'm doing. I'll give you an example. If you go to the gym every day at the same time, it's much easier than going a different time every day. This is what I found personally. So if I try to be consistent with my sleep and nutrition and exercise in that sense, wake up at the same time every day, go to the gym at the same time. Obviously, there are some variables for those things that might not be possible for you, or sometimes even for me. If I'm doing a class and they have like different schedule, or the times are slightly different, that's out of my control, and that's okay. But I control the things that I can in that regard. Wake up at the same time every day, try to eat at the same time, and sleep at the same time, go to the gym at the same time. So I don't really have to think about it. It's one of the daily things that you do without thinking about it. Brushing your teeth, or taking a shower, or going to bed. You don't really think about those things, you just do them. And I want to work on the things that I want to do in the same way. So setting up some time and some schedule for my daily routines, whether that's recording videos or writing down ideas or creating content, and working on my goals and on the things that I have to do in order to get out of my current situation.